But guys, going on. Tomorrow marks the end of the NBA trade deadline at 3 p.m. Eastern time. The trade deadline ends, so a lot of teams are scrambling to get their moving parts in order to get into championship contention. We hear a lot of talks with the Cavaliers being involved for talks for Ben McLemore from Sacramento. Hearing a lot of the most notable name that's being marked around is Dwight Howard, who people are talking about might opt out of his contract at the end of this season, because he could opt in and make $23 million. Guys, this isn't that crazy. He opted out of a $23 million player option, but that's neither here or there. But he could opt out, and hopefully he would try and get max money in this new salary cap, which he would go for a $30 million type contract per year contract. And now at this point, his contract is being shot by the Rockets because they're paying him so much money and they're at 500. So it's like they're not really getting return on their investments. So him, Blake Griffin, Kevin Love, a lot of players are in the trade talks. There were a couple trades that went down yesterday. Orlando Magic and the Detroit Pistons. They traded the Orlando Magic traded Tobias Harris to the Pistons for Brandon Jennings and Ersan Ilyasova. And then you have the trade that happened a few days ago with the Heat, the Grizzlies, and there was another team involved, and the Hornets. Hornets, yeah. And there was a three-way trade in there. So there's been a lot of trades going down. A lot of teams are trying to get their trades done before the deadline. So guys, who do you think? What team is most likely to make a move by the trade deadline tomorrow? And which team do you think needs to make the move the most? Khaled, let's start off with you. What do you think?
You mentioned a whole lot of teams just now and a whole lot of possible trades, but there's one I want to point out. The Blake Griffin one. I don't think they're gonna be giving up Blake Griffin to Clippers, but they were talking about the trade to with Orlando Magic about Shannon Fryer. I think that's his name, Shannon Fryer for Lance Stevenson. Now, Shannon Fryer will be a great addition to the Clippers lineup because he's actually a big man that can
shoot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it would be perfect for the Clippers lineup whenever they go up against, the Warriors, because he can defend and he can also have the perimeter to go against it. But the thing is, they would have to give up Lance Stevenson. Lance Stevenson's all right. Man's good. Man's good. He's good. But yeah, I feel like, and they said that they was going to make a decision by today. So I think that's one of the trades that's definitely going to be that's going to happen. They're going to give up Lance Stevenson. And the thing is, with Orlando Magic, Lance Stevenson, his contract, I think, his thing would be waived or whatever. So he would become a free agent. So he wouldn't even play in Orlando. And then Orlando will have the money to find other players that they may need for their organization as well. Yeah. So I feel like that trade will be very beneficial for them. I don't think the Clippers going to give up Blake Griffin, even though he is out for 7 weeks, or possibly 7 weeks. But Lance Stevenson would be a good trade for them to get Channing Frye.
Yeah. Okay. Rashad, what do you think?
Before I say, don't forget people, y'all can call in and join in on the debate.
Yeah, definitely.
At 757-683-4405.
Yeah.
You can also tweet us and comment on YouTube. Make sure you want to get in also.
KBR_sports.
Yeah, KBR_sports on Twitter.
And don't forget, guys, about the plug about the Veterans Health thing going on here.
February 20th.
February 20th.
From 9 to 1.
Yeah, from 9 to 1. Make sure y'all join in. It's partnering with WODU Studios. Make sure y'all come through and show y'all support. And then don't forget the event going on Work Release a week from tomorrow on February 25th. Starts at 9 o'clock. And, we got a lot of people coming through that's going to show some love. Y'all come through. And it's going to be a Throwback Thursday event. So you're going to be spinning a lot of the most favorite tunes. You know what I'm saying?
The most favorite tunes.
West Philadelphia, born and raised, baby. Man, most of my days. Oh, yeah, go ahead, Rashad.
So with what Khaled was saying about Blake Griffin, Doc Rivers kind of just shut that down. He was like, he ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
But I don't know how much ownership he has when it comes to dealing with.
He runs the player operations.
He runs the player operations, so he won't have nothing to do with it.
Yeah, he's president of player operations.
So that's a shutdown. So Blake Griffin's staying, which is the smartest decision the Clippers made this season. So keeping him there is gonna be key. What's the most interesting, I think, beneficial trade will be the Dwight Howard trade to possibly the Nuggets, because one, the Rockets, like you said, the Rockets are 500 now. Freeing up that much cap space to bring in what's about to be a strong free agent class is going to be helpful because Dwight Howard doesn't give you the productivity that you're expecting him to give you for what, $30 million. So it's time to let him go. He's not working well with James Harden. They can't play together. Thought he was gonna be better than he was with the Lakers. It looked like to me his numbers aren't kind of like the same. Now the Channing Frye thing, what you were saying, that is where it gets kind of tricky. Channing Frye is getting a little older. Channing Frye isn't the same Channing Frye that came in the league that can spread the floor out easily as much as he used to do, hit the three balls as easy as he used to do. Getting older, getting a little more slow, but it's still I don't think he's a better addition than Lance Stevenson, because Lance Stevenson, one, he has decent defense and he can give you an offensive, like a threat coming off the bench. Another trade that is in the trade rumors right now is the negotiation to get Greg Monroe to the Pelicans.
See, I think the Bucks said that they weren't trying to trade Greg Monroe or Jabari Parker.
Yeah.
So,
but the Pelicans are pushing for it. I mean, they're pushing because their biggest thing is they need help for Anthony Davis, like they said, and I think the most beneficial help you can get him is more so another big player, big name, well, not big name, a big man instead of wing players, because he's constantly getting double, triple team always. Like, it's not as much as he was at the beginning of the season. Yeah, you bring in somebody like Greg Monroe where you get a little more attention that way. It frees up Anthony Davis, let him play the game more smoothly. But I think the biggest trade, if it happens, will be the Dwight Howard trade, because one that'll help the Nuggets team get that push for the playoffs, and it also free up money for the Rockets
to find
for this upcoming free agency where you can find pretty good names in it.
This is the thing, because this is the only tricky thing about Dwight Howard being traded, because wherever Dwight Howard gets traded to, if you trade him, you got the team that's trading for him got to make sure he wants to stay there. Because if he's a free agent in the offseason, he can just walk after y'all trade him, and he's not obliged to stay. So I mean, you heard trade rumors about him possibly getting traded straight up for Hassan Whiteside from Miami, and in that trade instance, they most likely would seek probably another player to come with Hassan Whiteside to the Rockets, because I think Dwight Howard, I don't think we've seen the best of Dwight Howard. I think Dwight Howard's kind of fallen to the point of where Kevin Love has fallen. But I think that tends to happen when you go from being a number one option to being number two or number three. And it's no surprise James Harden loves to dominate the ball. The man leads the league in isolation plays. The man has as many isolation plays as the Warrior. He has as many isolation plays by himself as the Warriors do as a whole team. That's unreal. That means you just isolate all the time. So when you have a player like that who dominates the ball all the time, it's going to be hard for you to get your shots. I mean, he's averaging 14.6 points and 12 rebounds. So I mean, he's still playing pretty good. I mean, he's still averaging a double-double. He's not averaging as many points as we like to see from like the Orlando days when he used to average like 25 and 23 and 24. But he's still getting a good amount of points. And you could argue that it's a product of him playing with James Harden. Now, while Dwight Howard is getting older and his body is starting to break down on him, we've seen a lot more injuries from him in the most recent years. I think he can still be a good piece to a team that's trying to contend for a championship. Like, say if a team like would you guys think if he went to a team like Atlanta, maybe in a trade for maybe Paul Millsap or somebody, and then you put him in there, you put him in that front line with Al Horford, and then you have a Jeff Teague and stuff. Maybe you can make some noise in the Eastern Conference, in a conference that's relatively easy to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. If your name is Cleveland, you need somebody that's going to contend with Cleveland. I think it's relatively easy for them if you get a player like Dwight Howard that's like that one piece, and a team like the Celtics who have multiple assets, because their assets all come in their draft picks. Yeah. While we assume they're not going to trade their Brooklyn Nets draft pick in their first round Brooklyn Nets draft pick, because I mean the Nets suck. So that's pretty much when the Nets suck, you're going to get a pretty good draft pick from them.
Can I say something about the Atlanta? Because Jeff Teague's been in the rumors as well, in the trade rumors as well.
I'm assuming that if you're
getting him, Jeff Teague's gone, and I don't think we got a call.
Yeah. Dang, I hurt my ears so bad. Hey, it's KBR Sports, the best sports talk show every 24-hour day. How can I help you?
Hey, I am just calling in just to talk about what they're talking about.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How about you?
I'm good. You're trying to talk about the NBA trade rumors?
Yes.
All right. What's your perspective on it?
My perspective is this. So it is, it's basically one of those things that there's only a good handful of teams that are really good contenders, and they're not going to blow anything up when Dwight Howard's a rental, when all these good players are basically rentals besides Kevin Love. And there's really, in the East, you look, it's just the Cavaliers, maybe the Raptors. And then in the West, it's just the Thunder, Spurs, and Warriors. And none of those teams are going to risk the chemistry problems to get a big name who's just going to be a rental.
So what we were saying with the Hawks, do you see that being a potential, even though Jeff Teague might be gone with it?
Repeat what you said, my bad.
So do you see, let's say we're talking about him possibly going to the Hawks. So do you see Jeff Teague will more likely be a part of that trade? So do we see that team being better or worse with Jeff Teague gone?
My thing, so the Knicks have shown huge interest in Jeff Teague, but let's talk about Dwight Howard. He wants to be in Atlanta. I was reading yesterday. He's an Atlanta guy. He wants to be there. But the thing is Atlanta really, does Dwight Howard really push them over the top? And does that make them better than the Raptors and the Cavs? In my opinion, no. And the thing is there's teams that could benefit from Dwight Howard, yes, but it really, is he going to help a team that much to get them over the hump and be better than the Cavs in the East, or be better than the Warriors, Spurs, or Thunder in the West? I just don't think so, and I think that's the reason why he's not gonna go anywhere.
Oh, let me put some out. See, Rashad, when you talk about Jeff Teague, I don't think Jeff Teague would be involved in a Dwight Howard trade because James Harden is the dominant ball handler there. And think about it, they already have Ty Lawson and Patrick Beverly on the roster. So I think if they traded with the Hawks, they would be looking for more of a big man return. With the Hawks trade, they would either look for a big man return or shooters return along with a big man.
You see, because that's what I'm saying. Because Paul Millsap wouldn't be that piece though.
Paul Millsap can stretch the floor.
I don't think he would be that piece that Atlanta want to get rid of though for someone like Dwight Howard.
But here's the thing: if you bring in Dwight Howard, Al Horford's role changes because Al Horford can shoot the outside shot. So Dwight Howard can take up most of the lane space, and you kind of have Al Horford play that fourth spot kind of. Because Al Horford isn't as he's an undersized big to an extent. I mean, he's about 6'10" or so, and so he's not an actual 7 foot. While Dwight Howard isn't either. Dwight Howard's jumping ability makes him seem like a 7-footer. So I feel like in any trade that would happen with the Rockets or the Hawks, Jeff Teague wouldn't be a part of that trade. So they would be able to keep that pick and roll action with Jeff Teague if they kept him there. Now, if a team starts asking for Kyle Korver, you got a problem because that's your shooter. That's the guy that a lot of your offense revolves around.
I mean, my thing is, I just can't get over the fact that I don't see a team giving up what's going to be needed to give up for Howard, because we know that the Rockets overvalue him like crazy. And let's just take the Hawks. There's really no pieces that fit in Houston seamlessly like Dwight Howard was thought to be, and it would really benefit them. That's James Harden's team. They are an ISO team, and the Hawks don't have anybody who can create their own shot. And I think that it's almost like there's just not a team that's the right match, if that makes any sense, for Dwight Howard.
So you see Dwight Howard staying, even though potentially his contract is being as high, when the Rockets clearly need another piece. So you still
do. I see him staying not because they want to keep him, but because nobody wants to take him. He's already shown that he wants to go out and he wants to chase the money. Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
And nobody who is going to get him is going to have him next year unless they just give him an offer that he can't refuse. So do you really want to give up somebody who's not going to get you over the hump? Or do you really want to give up a lot of people for somebody who's not going to get you over the hump just off of name value alone? I just don't think it's worth the price.
And see, with what the caller was saying, also, the Rockets want a first-round draft pick in the trade.
They do.
They do. They want a first round with the trade coming in from Dwight Howard.
They either want like a pick or they want a star player in return. But I feel as though with the instances, like, because what the situation the Rockets are in, you think that they're kind of like locked in the hands kind of thing, because you don't know if he's going to walk, but then you don't want to let him go for nothing. And then you don't want to trade him just to trade him. Like, you want to get, accessible trade value back. And every team, I mean, there's teams in the team in the East that has the most likable pieces to it is the Celtics. So they give you a lot of draft picks, and they have a lot of pieces there. But the only reason why I say the Hawks is because I feel like, because I don't think he would want to stay in Boston. So that'd be a rental, in my opinion.
Well, I said you wouldn't be winning.
What'd you say?
I said you wouldn't be winning.
I mean, do you think Dwight Howard makes the Celtics a contender? Because think about it, there's no big man in the East like that. There's no big man. So I think his role increases.
I'm a Celtics fan through and through, but the thing is that team is third in the East right now solely because of chemistry. They're really, when you look at the pieces, it's just a bunch of complimentary guys. They need a star player, but Danny Ainge just said he's not giving up that Brooklyn pick, which looks like it's going to be top 3.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
then the other two picks are the Mavs first round pick and the Celtics first round pick. They're looking, it's going to be low 20s, low to mid 20s in a weak draft. So those two picks aren't going to get Dwight Howard. And the thing is he's just like you said, he's not going to stay there. So do you really want to give up? They'd have to probably give up Jared Sullinger, those two, the Celtics and the Nets pick, or the Celtics and the Mavericks pick, and then throw in another guy for Dwight Howard, who's going to be there for 2 months, who in the end he's not going to get them to beat the Cavs or the Raptors. I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, it's interesting. Cause, I mean, for me, now if Dwight Howard went to, that's the only thing. It's all about how much you have to give up to get him. If you could take him to a team like the Hawks or somebody, or the Raptors, because think about it, Dwight Howard is an athletic enough big that when you play a team like Cleveland, you can do some pick and roll switches. You're not so out of position when when they run a lot of pick and roll with Kevin Love being at the 4, and Tristan Thompson's not really an offensive threat for the Cavaliers. He's merely there for defense and being an offensive rebounder. So when you have Dwight Howard there, LeBron James can't attack the paint like he normally does against most of these Eastern Conference teams. Kyrie Irving can't. And so then it changes kind of how teams have to play you. And then they don't have anybody that can physically match up with Dwight Howard like that. I mean, I feel like that's more of a thing for the Eastern Conference rather than when you go to the West and you find a lot of mismatches with Dwight Howard, because if you go whatever team has Dwight Howard and matches up against the Warriors or the Spurs, I feel like Dwight Howard is essentially neutralized by the Spurs. I don't know what it is. I don't know how it happens, because he's like the strongest guy on the court almost at all times, but he's neutralized. And then the Warriors, I mean, we all know the story of the Warriors, so I just don't even know how that would happen. But I think if whatever team, if you, it depends on what you have to give up to get him. Like you were saying, the Celtics have great chemistry. Like what Brad Stevens is doing with that team is, it's amazing how he's taken Isaiah Thomas, who was an all-star this season under Brad Stevens. He's taken, all these guys and made complimentary guys, like you were saying, and made them great. Now, how about the prospect of Kevin Love possibly being traded? I mean, I know the Cavaliers said they wouldn't do it, but I remember the Celtics were trying to get Kevin Love in the offseason, and they were really eyeing him. And then the Cavaliers have pretty much said, we only want a star back for Kevin Love. And I mean, they're not going to get that. Nobody's going to trade away their star player for 15 and 10. Nobody's going to do that. So what do you think about the prospect of that happening?
I don't see that happening, simply because the Cavs, I mean, everybody at this point in time of the year always overvalues their guys. They want to make their guys seem as good as they are, even if they're not, so they can get a lot of value in return. But the thing is, do I believe Kevin Love is still a top 15 player? Absolutely, I do. He's been relegated to the third fiddle, which he's still, if you look at it, under Tyronn Lue, his percentages, his game overall, since they've opened up the floor under Lue, has exploded. He's gone back to the old Kevin Love. But the thing is the Celtics need a defender, and the Celtics need a rebounder. Kevin Love can rebound, yes, but do you really want to put Kevin Love at the center? Absolutely not. So once again, I just don't see the Celtics getting him, because there's too much in return. Who are they going to give up? They'll give up the Nets pick. They'll give up the Celtics pick, and they'll give up the Mavericks pick. Okay. And then player-wise, who are they going to give up? Sullinger, Olynyk, and Jay Crowder, maybe? I mean, I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, and they've made it adamant that nobody is going to touch that Nets pick. They made it like adamant that they're not willing to trade that Nets pick unless a guy like LeBron James is coming back in return. They're not trading away the Nets pick. So
I think it's a whole lot more than that.
Yeah, I agree with you. But caller, we appreciate you calling in, man. We appreciate you watching the show and supporting us. We appreciate all the love, man. You gave great
insight.
Yeah, insight. Yeah, so we appreciate it.
Hey, thank y'all. Keep it up.
All right, thanks, man. Yeah, guys. like that was great to call topic conversation. And for anybody that wants to call, like Rashad said earlier, number 757-683-4405.